Callow, cocking with a hot pen. You can't kill it with this glove, it will not fit. Evidence will not stick. Rapping with a self-respecting southerner. So bro, what's in your pot? Those are not grits. Spit bars, I stand behind mine. Sentences I serve, maximize guidelines. My lawyer can't give me his advice when he's beast that I murder carry mandatory minimums of life. Yikes. In case you didn't get the point, we spit bars.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of The Maximum Sentence, where there's conviction behind the bars. I'm your man, AJ Throwback. Great to be here with you on another, well, actually, usually we do this on Sunday, but I had to, for personal reasons, move it to today on a Monday. But same time, I wasn't going to miss it for the world. You know what I mean? I had to make sure that I showed up and everything for this awesome episode that we are going to be doing for my latest single, which is out right now, called The Mistress. I'm going to run a banner at the bottom of the screen for everybody, which if you haven't heard it, it is currently out on Bandcamp and also my website. My Bandcamp page is ajthrowback.bandcamp.com. Once again, that's ajthrowback.bandcamp.com. And my website is bammllc.net. Once again, that's bammllc.net. If you go to the home page, it is basically the first thing that you're going to see when you come to the home page. So I appreciate everybody who has already supported the single, has already bought the single, been streaming the single, all of that good stuff. I definitely appreciate all support thus far for the single and for all of my music throughout this run of The Late Bloomer. And this is actually the final single in the Late Bloomer series, which started last January 6, 2022 with the Lincoln and Lincoln Job Fair. And now we're to the end with The Mistress. And it actually makes sense. I did not plan it this way. I did and I didn't. When I set out to do this Late Bloomer series, I didn't know what the singles were going to be. I didn't know which songs were going to resonate with people the most, but I know it's partially divine timing and divine construction of everything. Always got to give glory to God for how he guides me and how he puts certain things and people in place, and everything doing what it does. Because the thing about the Lincoln and Lincoln Job Fair, that song was a song about taking my own path and doing what I'm the most passionate about, which is music. So that's on one bookend of it. And then on the other bookend of it is now The Mistress, which is talking about that passion being music, but how that passion kind of sort of gets in the way of real life, or how real life can sometimes get in the way of pursuing that passion. That's what The Mistress is. That's who The Mistress is. The Mistress is music. The Mistress is my first love. And so it's something actually in the very beginning of the song that I kind of bleeped out a little bit, but just to kind of sort of give it a little bit of mystery as you listen to the song, because sometimes you might listen to things on his face and you might think, oh, is he talking about a woman, or is he talking about something else? Is it a metaphor? Whatever it might be. No need for the mystery. You know what I'm saying? If you've heard the single by now, spoiler alert, The Mistress is not an actual woman. You know what I mean? So, but I do want to break down, of course, the lyrics, because that's what we do here on The Maximum Sentence. This is a breakdown, a detailed breakdown of my lyrics, and, you know, just really digging into the layers of it. But before we even dig into the lyrics, before we even go that far, first and foremost, if you're watching this right now, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this on a replay, first and foremost, thank you so much for tuning in. Second of all, if you are watching, please make sure, if you have not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please make sure that you subscribe right this second. Hit that subscribe button, hit those bell notifications, so whenever I go live, post a new video, premiere a new video, you'll be among the first to know. And please make sure that you like, comment, share, all of that good stuff. And if you're watching right now, please make sure that you comment so I can shout you out and you can be a part of the conversation. Because yes, this is about my music, but the topics are always broader than just me and as a creator. I think I do have a comment already. My main man, Illville, the producer, on the check-in. Appreciate you for tuning in, my brother. And once again, man, if y'all are not tapped in with my brother Illville, the producer, and his comeback challenge, first and foremost, make sure that you are following him all across the board at Illville_the _the producer. I'm gonna pull his name back up on the screen so you can see it, so you can follow him, subscribe to his YouTube channel, follow him on Instagram, and tap in with his comeback challenge. Man, my man did something incredible over the weekend. He got MCs to actually perform their verses live of the comeback challenge. You know what I'm saying? Just something dope to see for the culture of hip hop. My man Illville is definitely somebody who believes in saluting the legends and paying homage. You know what I'm saying? You always got to celebrate people like that. So, but I had to, give my man some props real quick, and I appreciate you for tuning in, my brother. But yes, now that we got the business out the way in terms of, y'all subscribing, y'all getting the music and all of that, let's get into some of this breakdown. But before we start breaking down lyrics, I'm going to start a little bit differently than I normally do. Well, actually, you know what? I may hold off on this because I was actually waiting for one of my peoples to be here so I can explain this. But so what I'll do is, yes, I will start off with breaking down the music. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down. Typically, I don't break down intros, but we have to break down the intro a little bit or give a backstory to the intro. Break down the first verse and break down the chorus. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Truth be told, but this nigga's my mistress. Probably could have pursued you a little harder. Baby, don't be mad cause your husband. But I just kept putting others ahead of you. Maybe out of fear, but what we have would be too powerful. Baby, don't be mad. Maybe in another life she would be my spouse. Or raise a bunch of kids shouting, stomping through the house. Or moving Cubans past customs, but we never smoke. Frequent flying miles run out, then we get in boats. Rainy days, most are laid up in a bed. Hulu plus Netflix, but with us it's more turn-ons, warm-ups, licks. Press buttons morning through the night. And the mind she like, only Joe could do it right. But reality is rabbit with the coolest bite. Such a foolish life, cause at a tender age I was made to choose a wife. One to keep my stomach fed, head dry, body draped. Safe girls raise kids, fast chicks, body late. But she wasn't just another side piece. Not to say the high priest, but she's my piece. Though I chose other women for the top spots, all the love I've ever had for her, it will not stop. This is deeper than a crush. The bond that we share merely deepens with a touch. This is love. I could try to ignore it. I answer when she calls, won't apologize for it. Cause with her, it's much more than desire. Whenever she's around, I'm alive and inspired. So I don't feel a bit of guilt from her kisses. My first real love, she ain't never been the mistress.
All right, so let's start from the very, very beginning. So those of you all who missed out on my virtual listening party, which you can, okay, that's weird. It just got really dark with my camera. That is really odd. Hold on 1 second, y'all. All right, there we go. Had to fix the little camera issue real quick. It just got really, really dark with my camera. That was weird. Maybe because I waved my hand right in front of the camera. But anyway, so for those of y'all who did not catch my virtual listening party, which is actually on my YouTube channel, so if you did miss out, you can definitely check it out. But just to give you a recap, I played a song at the very beginning of the party called King of the Jungle, Prodigal, featuring Sly D and yours truly. And the thing is about that song, it was a part in the song where my man Prodigal, he said, married to Kia, but the studio's my mistress. Baby, don't be mad cause your husband about to make it. And every time I heard that line, I'm like, yo, that's dope. Married to Kia, but the studio's my mistress. So that's where that comes from. Where I say married Mrs. G, but this music, which is actually bleeped out purposely just to create the suspense. But I'm saying underneath the blur, married Mrs. G, but this music is my mistress. Baby, don't be mad because your husband about to make it. That's important because the thing is, those of us who are in relationships, and it's not just, us as men, but also women who are married in relationships, who are musicians, who are artists, who are entrepreneurs, who are, anybody on their career path. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a thing where it's artists or musicians, because a lot of times when we are passionate about something, we have a first love. We have something that we're really gifted at, or we are the gift when it comes to a specific thing. Let me correct myself. Shout out to my man Yusha Assad for dropping those gems on us all not too long ago. we are the gift of music, or we are the gift of entrepreneurship, or we are the gift of fitness training. We are the gift of justice. We are the gift of good health. We are the gift of all of these different things that we're talented at. And so the thing is, a lot of times we can be quite ambitious. And that's really what the song is talking about. Like, how do you balance your ambition with your real life, with the life that you chose to do? And we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that. You know what I'm saying? But that's really the setup for the rest of the song. I think I got a couple of comments. Shout out to my sis, Lady Crawley, on the check-in. Appreciate you for tuning in. And I was waiting specifically for you because I'm going to do it right now since you are here and Illville is here. This is something I was talking to Lady Crawley about, and she told me, like, don't tell me yet. Don't tell me. And I was like, all right, cool. All right, so I'm going to get into this before I get into this first verse. So those of y'all who have seen the single cover, or maybe you haven't, maybe this is your first time seeing it, but I'm going to pull up the single cover for y'all. All right, so I'm going to narrate this for y'all real quick. Y'all ain't going to see my face, but this is the single cover. So first and foremost, shout out to designs by Amara for, I think that's how she pronounces her name. But Amara, I forget what her last name is, but dope designer, graphic designer. The woman that's on the cover of this, that is her work. Now the colors, I added the colors, and I'm gonna give y'all a story about the colors and why the colors are important, specifically with the complexion of the woman in this particular graphic. So y'all are seeing this. All right. Now y'all seeing me again. Okay, so the woman on the cover, the reason why I colored her like that or gave her that specific complexion is because of one of my favorite movies, Class Act, and one of my favorite women who have been in a movie. I believe her name in real life is Alicia Rogers. I think that's her name. I think that's how she pronounces her first name, but Alicia Rogers. Alicia Rogers played in Boys in the Hood, and she also was Demeter in Class Act. When I say there has been no other woman that I've had a bigger crush on in a movie than Demeter from Class Act, it's not even close. When I say I wanted my girlfriend to look like her, you know what I'm saying? At that time, like, I was like, look, I need a Demeter in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, she gotta be bad like that. She gotta be chocolate. She gotta be stacked. She gotta be, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And she gotta be in the art like Demeter was in the movie. You know what I mean? So it's like, when I tell you it was very intentional, I was like, okay, what complexion can I make this woman? And I instantly went to Demeter from Class Act. So there's this site called Image Color Picker. This is how serious it is for me, y'all. I went to this site I use this site called Image Color Picker. And so when I'm trying to like pick out specific colors to kind of sort of make things blend together, so to say, I go to Image Color Picker. And a lot of times I'll color my text a certain way based on whatever picture I get to kind of sort of blend along with the picture or kind of contrast what's going on in the picture, but to kind of sort of keep everything in a certain color scheme. And so I pulled up a picture of Demeter. Not only did I get her skin tone, but the lipstick color that the girl has in the picture, that's the same color lipstick that Demeter was wearing in the movie. Specifically in the scene where Duncan Penderhughes and Demeter meet in the movie. And so, like, when I say it was a lot of intentionality that went on with the cover, a lot of intentionality went on. So that's one. Two, of course, there's branding involved, because a lot of women have come to me and say they like the nail colors of the girl in the picture. And so I was like, look, y'all know me, brand, everything, brand colors. So black, red, yellow, green. Those are the batch colors. So, and every time I do something that has to do with my brand, it's always those hearts. Those are the colors of the batch brand. So it was some branding going on. Even the Mistress, the word the Mistress in the picture is branding, because it's what's called a gradient, and the gradient goes black, red, yellow, green. So it blends very well together that you don't even notice that it's a branding technique. You know what I'm saying? Real subtle. real subtle. And of course, it's gotta be, I made it look like it was a mural on a wall because this is a very hip hop driven song. You know, you got scratching, the beat. Like a lot of people have come to me about the beat for the song, which I did do. If there's any question about it, I did the production on the song. My guy Gladiator, who also was my engineer, he did the scratches on the song. And of course, like I said from the beginning, my man Prodigal, that's a piece of his song. So it's a resung portion of one of his songs, but everything else is yours truly. But like, I wanted it to have that hip hop feel, because if y'all could have saw the original cover, and maybe next week I'll show y'all the original cover versus the new cover, it just wasn't slapping. So I needed that joint to pop a lot more. And to be honest, it's one of my favorite covers that I've done, like period, for any project that I've done, you know. So yeah, that's how much there are bars even behind the artwork for the single. It's that serious for me, y'all. Let me go to these comments, because I know these comments got to be lit off of this. But let me see. Oh, it's all good, Lady Crawley. No, you know, as long as you here, you ain't never late. As far as I'm concerned, you know what I'm saying? And yes, she said, okay, I remember the Queen. Wow, yes, absolutely. I'm telling you, intentionality from the music itself to the artwork itself. Everything has an intention, and maybe I should start doing that whenever I do artwork. Give a story behind the artwork as well, because I don't just pick stuff just for the sake of picking a picture. It's like, no, it has to have a certain vibe to it. And I went through a lot of different pictures in terms of women that I wanted to kind of sort of have that mural feel to, and that was the one I landed on, because the thing is, what was beautiful about it, a lot of those same designs, the woman was already colored in. And then I seen one where she wasn't colored in. So I just filled the colors in where I wanted it to. The word muse that's on the girl's hat, I put that word in there specifically because that's exactly what she represents. She represents inspiration. She represents the thing that she represents, creativity. Like, that's really what it boils down to. And again, even though this is a song about my particular journey, this could be for anybody. Anything can be inspiration for anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be just the arts, but that's specifically my story. So let's now get into the lyrics, now that I've given y'all a glimpse into the artwork. So starting off, maybe in another life, she could be my spouse, or raise a bunch of kids shouting, stomping through the house, or moving Cubans past customs, but we never smoke. Frequent fly miles run out, then we get in boats. Rainy days, actually, before we get to the rainy days, most laid up in a bed. All right, so maybe in another life, she could be my spouse. The thing about being an artist, and this is the thing that I feel like a lot of people can relate to this particular journey, is that the arts, although it is one of the best ways to express yourself, express who you are, what you believe in a creative way, it's also one of those things that a lot of parents, specifically from our generation or the generation before ours, a lot of those parents were very concerned about us not struggling, because a lot of them struggled. So they didn't want us to go through a lot of the same struggles that they went through. They wanted us to be better off than they were. And so a lot of times they would steer us in directions that were more lucrative, or directions where we could take better care of ourselves. Again, that's why the importance of this being the bookend of the Late Bloomer series, as compared or contrasted with the Lincoln and Lincoln Job Fair, which is along the same lines. But yeah, maybe in another life she could be my spouse, or raise a bunch of kids shouting, stomping through the house. Raise a bunch of kids shouting, stomping through the house. That's really like, okay, we get together and we make all of these beautiful creations together, and these creations just come along and shake up the world. Stomping loud, a bunch of kids shouting, stomping through the house. Like, you can't help but notice these creations. You can't help but notice this music. You can't help but notice this artwork. You can't help but notice this production. You can't help but notice all of these different things that are dynamics of our union. because we're married and we're dedicated and we're committed to getting out whatever this energy, whatever this message is to the world. And so the world won't be able to deny it because we constantly being fruitful and multiplying. You know what I mean? Or moving Cubans past customs, but we never smoke. Frequent flyer miles run out, then we get in boats. So that's really a thing where it's like, okay, we're going all over the world with this thing. Like, it's not just a thing that's local or limited or something that's just central to one location or one area. A lot of times when you have a passion in something and you really dedicate your time to it and you're really committed to it, it's going to take you all over. It's going to take you in places you never expected it to take you. And that's really what those lines really represent. You know, like, all right, we go on a plane, we go on a train, we go on a boat, we go wherever. But what we have, it's going to take us all over the world. And it's going to touch different people all over the world. So that's what those lines represent. Most are laid up in the day, rainy days, most are laid up in the bed, Hulu Plus, Netflix. But what else is more turn-ons, warm-ups, licks. So that's basically saying, okay, while everybody else is chilling, doing their thing, like relaxing or maybe not living out their purpose, maybe not putting in the work necessary to really go after what it is they really want, we're at it. We're getting at it. But with us is more turn-ons, warm-ups, licks, turn-ons. See, I like to always throw in like a little bit of innuendo to throw things off, but there's a deeper meaning behind it. And it's not really even that deep. Turn-ons. You turn on your equipment. You can't make any music as a musician, especially as a producer in this day and age, or really ever. When you're dealing with electrical equipment or music that is musical equipment that is powered by electricity, you got to turn it on. And once you turn it on, if you are trying to create something, there's a warm-up period. You're warming up your brain. You're warming up your skills and your chops to say, okay, let me kind of get loose a little bit. Let me see where we gonna go with this. Maybe I want to play things out. Maybe I want to play with these keys. Maybe I want to play with this sound. Maybe I want to test out this drum, test out this snare, see how this all sounds together. And then licks, really guitar licks. It's like, that's really what the reference is. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a creative way to kind of throw you off, to make you think, okay, is he talking about a woman or is he talking about something else? And that's another thing, licks, guitar licks. Really just that simple. You know what I mean? I think I see my man, DJ Shane, on the check-in. Appreciate you for tapping in, my brother, for this episode. This first of 2 episodes dedicated to my latest single, The Mistress. I always appreciate your support. Said salute, King. Love the song. Thank you, my brother, for that feedback. And thank you for everybody's feedback regarding this song. And more turn-ons, warm-ups, licks. Press buttons, moaning through the night. Again, innuendo, but as a drum programmer, or you got drum machines, what are you doing? You pressing buttons. You know what I mean? Whether you're doing it on a drum machine or whether you're doing it on your computer or whether you got a keyboard, you're going to be pressing buttons on your keyboard. Like, it's a bunch of pressing of buttons that's going on, moaning through the night. That's just another way of saying, okay, the sounds that get created from our union, the sounds that get created from our time together, you know, like, this is what happens. In a mind, she like, only Joe could do it right. And that's really a thing of saying, only I can create the music that I create. It's really just a moment of me taking ownership and saying, okay, there are a lot of these different producers out here. There are a lot of these different people who create. It doesn't even necessarily have to be production. You know, it's a kind of production specific song, but it's a music and creation specific song as well, because it could also be a thing of talking about me writing, as a lyricist, whether it's my own stuff or whether I'm writing for somebody else. Like, only I can say things the way that I say them. Only I can hear sound in the way that I hear it. And it's not to say that nobody else can, because everybody hears sound differently. Everybody writes differently. And that's really the point. You do what you do in a very special way, and that's the way that it's divinely intended to be. God created us to do what we do in a special way, not be carbon copies of one another. I can't write a song like somebody else. I can't produce a song like somebody else. I don't hear music the same way. I don't receive that energy the same way. And so that's why only Joe can do it right. And right being like, if I do it my way, it's automatically right. But reality is rabbit with the cruelest bite. Such a foolish life. Because at a tender age, I was made to choose a wife. And that goes back to what I was saying. At a tender age, a lot of times, unfortunately, and especially in the black community, I hate to say it, and a lot of it is historic, a lot of it is cultural, but more so like how history kind of sort of dictates certain things. And I forget who I was talking to. I think it was a couple of people, but I feel like one of the people that I talked to was my man Brian, that I know. And one of the things that he mentioned, and a couple of people have mentioned it, how often it was Brian, but it was also Chell. Shout out to my man Marcello Bradley. This is actually a conversation he and I had when I was over his house one time, when I actually brought him his merch pack. And he was talking about how often we as a black community tell our kids no. Instead of something, an alternative phrase like find something else to do. Now, granted, when it came to being an artist or being somebody who created, I wasn't told no, but I was told find something else to do. Find another way to channel that energy. Find another way that's going to be more lucrative. And so that's the whole thing, because at a tender age, I was made to choose a wife. Want to keep my stomach fed, head dry, body draped. Like something that's going to support you, something that's going to take care of you, something that's going to make sure you got lights, something that's going to make sure you got food, something that's going to make sure you got shelter, something that's going to make sure you got clothing, something that's going to make sure that there is money in your pocket to support you. And if you end up having a family, something that's going to be able to support you and your family. And it might not be necessarily something that you love to do, but this is real life. And in real life, again, but reality is rabbit with the cruelest bite. What happens when anything that's rabbit bites you? It's poisonous. It's potentially lethal. And when you really think about that, lethal, dream killer. People don't even realize a lot of times when they say certain things, they're being dream killers. Instead of saying, okay, this is what you want to do. All right, cool. So let's figure out a way to get you on that path and make sure that you are dedicated to it, so that plan A is the only plan, instead of considering plan B. And so plan B is I was made to choose a wife. Want to keep my stomach fed, head dry, body draped. Then we move on to the next couple of lines. Safe girls raise the kids. Fast chicks party late. You get a 9-to-5 working somewhere, that's the safe girl. That's the one that's going to raise your real kids. That's the one that's going to take care of everything. That's the one that's going to make sure that you don't go hungry. Whereas fast chicks party late, it's like, yeah, that might be cool and you might have a good time, but is it going to put you in a place where you're going to be responsible, where you're going to be a man about yours and make sure that your priorities are in order? Because if you hanging out with these fast chicks, they not going to necessarily, they ain't talking about responsibilities. They ain't talking about priorities. You know, like, you never know. It's kind of the whole thing of how older people of a certain generation will always talk about them fast tail girls. Like, don't be talking to them fast tail girls, or you better watch out for them fast girls. You know, like that whole narrative. And that's why I chose Fast Chicks Party Late, because it's like you're chasing after someone who may not be as committed to you as you are to them. That whole scenario. There's always a spin with everything that I say. Like, no words, when I tell y'all no words are wasted, no words are wasted when I spit anything. You know, like there's a meaning darn near pretty much to every single choice of word that you're going to hear out of my mouth. You know what I mean? But then she wasn't just another side piece. Not a saint or high priest, but she's my piece. And of course, it's a play on words, piece, because of course, the mistress, she wasn't just another side piece. Like, she's just not another chick that is like, okay, I'm messing with her, but you know, I could take or leave her. No, this, like, when it comes to this whole thing, when it comes to creation, whether you talking about the phase where I was doing more drawing, or you talking about the phase where I've been in music, and I ain't going to call that a phase because I did art less time than I did, or sketch art. I did that less time than I did music. Like, I've done music now, we're talking of almost 30 years. The art window was only about 10. Now, granted, I still do stuff that's creative, like artwork or whatever, but I don't necessarily draw as much. Like, I take my creativity and my love for the visual arts and I put it into my flyers. I put it into my designs. I put it into my t-shirts. I put it into the flyers that I put out. I put it into the logos that I create for myself and my brand. That's my way of being able to express myself, you know. So she was just not a side piece. Not a saint or high priest, but she's my piece. That's just to say she's not perfect. There are going to be struggles dealing with her. But at the same time, even with those struggles, she's my piece, P-E-A-C-E. Like, she's part of what brings me serenity and balance into my life. You know, without her, my life would not be the same. I would not be the person that y'all know me to be without her. She is a huge part of that narrative. I'm not saying she's God. Not saying that, because she is part of the blessing from God that's imbued within me. I am her, she is me, when it comes down to it. But being with her and having her a part of my life, that's what brings me peace. And when I really think about it, it's an extension of my dad, because my dad, you know, God rest his soul, he was a person who was the most at peace when he had his music. He was the person who was the most at peace when he was able to DJ. He was a person who was the most at peace when he was able to curate a list. When I think about his 65th birthday party, which was the last birthday party he had before he passed away, him being able to come up with all of that music, a lot of that music that was on that playlist, brought him so much joy. It's like he couldn't wait to send me that list. And to see him light up and to see him get overjoyed behind that, I'm like, I got that from him. That love of music, I got that from him. That's peace. That's part of joy right there. That can't be taken away. Like, when I think about things that are attached to happiness versus things that are attached to joy, if I don't have a specific song or album or whatever, or if I do, that may be attached to happiness. But the overall love of music brings me joy, because nobody can take that away from me. Nobody. And that's really a huge amount of the point of this song, is that nothing or no one can separate me from that love. Though I chose other women for the top spots, all the love I've ever had for her, it will not stop. Really, like, I just somewhat explained that line with what I just said. All the love I've ever had for her, it will not stop. That's joy. That's always gonna bring me a certain feeling that will never go away as long as I live. Even before I was creating music, I was still a lover of music. And being a lover of music, that's something like that can't be taken away. The only person that I feel like could ever take away what you love to do or what you're really the most invested in is you. You're the only person that can do that. Other than that, nothing or no one can take that away, especially if God puts it within you to do, no matter what it is. Again, yes, this is a song specifically about my love of music, but it's really a song that I feel like people can relate to no matter what your passion is, no matter what your first love is, you know. And so then we get into the chorus. This is deeper than a crush. The bond that we share merely deepens with a touch. This is love. Touch. It's constant touching. Whether it's touching of a drum machine, whether it's touching of a keyboard, I think it's tactile movement. I learned that from my man, shout out my man Ray Gideon Peoples. He's the one that taught me that whole thing of when you're writing, and granted I'm writing with the wrong hand because I write with my left hand, but when you're writing, you're developing a rhythm. That's why, like, for me, I don't really like to write my songs on my phone. I do it, but I prefer to write it down because I feel like I memorize music better when I write it down versus when I type it on my phone. Because yes, there's a certain movement, but your hand writes words a certain way. So it's like your hand is in sync with your brain when you're doing that tactile movement. So it's not only just you remembering what you see on the paper, but your body, it's a muscle memory technique. Your body is also memorizing what you wrote down in terms of the muscles that you use to write that specific word in connection with your brain. It's a whole process that makes it even deeper. So that's the whole, like, when you really dig deep into deepens with a touch. This is love. Like, I absolutely love to write my lyrics down. I absolutely love to be able to play certain parts. Like, I don't want nobody sound pack. Like, don't give me no sound pack. Don't give me no plug and play piano chord or whatever. Like, nah, I want to play my joints out. I get them joints all the time. Like, if you do stuff like, say, like Native Instruments, or I'm trying to think who else has it. I think MPC, they have certain sound packs where you can buy like certain chords that are already played out. Nah, let me play it. That's how I can remember what I played a lot of times, because I've already played it before. And when you develop that practice, when you develop that habit, you deepen your skill level. And I don't even consider myself the most skilled musician, but I am a very skilled producer, and there's a difference. You know, musicians can play all day, but can you produce one song that's a certain amount of time, that has certain elements? Can you pull back certain layers to make enough room for whether you're the artist or whether it's somebody else? And can you hear the certain inflections in somebody's voice to pull certain things back, put certain things in, that whole thing? You know what I mean? Like, you get better over time, but that's what deepens with the touch. It's a practice. It's a labor of love. You know, I could try to ignore it. I answer when she calls, won't apologize for it. There have been many a times where I've considered quitting. Many a times. Even during this late bloomer run, there have been times I've considered quitting. There have been times I've considered, you know, maybe I'm not really making that much of an impact. Maybe people really don't like my rhymes that much. Maybe people don't like my beats that much. Maybe people just want to hear me, you know, on radio or do media stuff, and like that's the only way that they want to receive me. I have those moments, and it's like I could sit here and try to ignore being involved in music, but I can't, because this thing has been ingrained in me so deeply. I answer when she calls, won't apologize for it. I get inspiration at all different times. In 1 second, because I can feel a little tickle in my throat, y'all. My apologies. My apologies for hitting the table so hard. Excuse me. So, yes. I could try to ignore it. I answer when she calls, won't apologize for it. There are many a times when the inspiration has come, and we'll get into that when we talk about the second verse next week. There are many times where it'll come at a very inconvenient moment. Like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Like, it's one of those things where when it comes, it comes. And sometimes I've had to have certain conversations about when those moments come. Or it could be one of those things where, like, say if I have an idea for a beat and I don't want to lose the idea, because I've lost many ideas from not committing it to memory somehow, or committing it to tape or recording, whatever it might be. And so, because I, going all the way back, I used to have a voice recorder with a tape. And so what I would do is I would literally record whatever beat ideas I had on this tape. And I had a tape full of beat ideas. A lot of them joints I never used. But it was that whole thing of when the inspiration comes, you kind of got to answer the call. Or you could potentially lose that idea forever. And once it's gone, it's gone. Now, granted, a lot of times I get better ideas than the ones I lose. And there's so many that I have that I've never even used. I've never even gone back to. But I also believe in don't lose the idea whether you use it or not. Your job is to make sure that you capture it, just in case you have to come back to it, because you don't know whether or not you got to come back to it or somebody else could benefit from it. That might not necessarily be for you. And I'm saying that, and I feel like God has given this to me in this moment. Everything that we do is not for us. In fact, when we are the gift, it is up to us. And shout out to my man Yusha Saad for saying this. And I believe this wholeheartedly. I wholeheartedly agree with him when he says this, is that when you unwrap yourself, you are giving of yourself. You are unwrapping yourself as the gift for other people to receive. And so when you do that, a lot of the things that you think are just for you, or you think might be useless, it's like, no, there's a greater purpose to this. And it's up to you to be obedient enough, divinely obedient enough to say, I'm not going to tuck this away. I'm not going to miss this moment and not somehow put this down so that I can come back to it later, or somebody else can come back to it later and they can do something with it. Sometimes you got to let certain ideas go and let somebody else build upon that. And they can take it even farther than you expected to take it. That's the beauty of creation. That's the beauty of understanding how you're gifted, or, well, yes, how you are gifted as the gift, and then unwrap it so that somebody else can receive it. Because that's really what it is. This is an exchange. And then God is going to bless it however he sees fit to bless it from there. That's really what it boils down to. Before I get into the last couple bars, I think I got another. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Lady Cross said. Thank you so much. Great message. Yes, absolutely. That's the beauty of this series, is that it pulls out certain things in the lyrics to bring forth an even greater message than sometimes even what I realize when I'm writing it at the time. Some of these things, when I break down the lyrics, I'm actually kind of sort of saying it on the fly because I've given it deeper thought later after I wrote it. Like, this is a song right here. I think I wrote this maybe 9 years ago. The beat is almost 10 years old. The lyrics are almost 9 years old. A lot of these songs that y'all are getting from this series are darn near a decade old. But they're just now really seeing the light of day because, again, this is the Late Bloomer series, and y'all already know when it comes down to it, a lot of these things have happened late for me. But when it comes down to it, good music, resonant music, has no expiration date whatsoever. You know what I mean? So, like, y'all could have gone y'all whole lives not even knowing all of that. But it's important for me to say it because there's a process to this whole thing. And it feeds right into the spirit of this song, because it's like, it doesn't matter how long any of this stuff takes. I love this so much that I'm still going to be committed enough to say, you know what? I don't care that I recorded this song in whatever year, or I recorded this song then, or I wrote this song at this point. It doesn't matter. The message still hits. The music still hits. The passion still hits. And that's the most important thing. And that's really the spirit of the song. I could try to ignore it. I asked her when she calls, won't apologize for it, because with her, it's much more than desire. Whenever she's around, I'm alive and inspired. Like, I get inspiration from everywhere. Everywhere, everyone, everything. There's inspiration. If you're really paying attention, if you're really looking. There have been times that I could literally hear water drip and get an idea for a song. I could hear the birds chirping outside and get an idea from a song. I could hear tap, tap, tapping like in an apartment above me or below me and get an idea for a song. Or I'll hear like the way that like the tone of a car starting, like how certain cars start differently than others. I might hear music in that. Like, I hear it everywhere. That really just means that she's around. She's always around. That's the beauty of music as my muse. She's always around. So I don't feel a bit of guilt from her kisses. My first real love, she ain't never been the mistress. And that's important because it's like, is music the main thing that feeds me? No. But who do I talk about more? The wife or the mistress? When y'all hear me talk, anybody who hears me talk, and I mean even people at my job, when they hear me talk, who do they hear me talk about more? My day job or my side hustle? It's always my side hustle. Because I don't look at my side hustle as my side hustle. I look at it as the thing that, yes, it doesn't necessarily put food on the table as easily as the 9 to 5. But I'm the most excited about the side hustle. I'm the most energized by the side hustle. I find the most meaning in my life through my side hustle. So which one is which when it comes down to it? And that's why I say she ain't never been the mistress. Cause yeah, she's not the one that puts the food on the table. She's not the one that's cooking it, so to say. She's not the one necessarily raising the kids, but we raising kids of our own. Creation is the kids. Creation is the kids. I was trying to make sure I had my English correct. If I'd have said creations are the kids, don't get me started. I'm a half English major, you know what I'm saying, in college. So sometimes I gotta check myself with my grammar. So y'all gotta pardon me. Anyway, but creation is the kids. Like, there's a whole bunch of babies that have been created because of our union still, even though she's not the main one that puts the most amount of money in my pocket. You know, but she's the one that I love the most. She's the one I've always loved the most. She was there first. She was there first, and she's going to be there long after, if I'm being honest, any of my 9 to 5s. I've loved music longer than I've had a 9 to 5. Like the current 9 to 5 that I've had, I've been there going on 18 and a half years. Music was around before. Music will be around afterwards. No matter in what capacity that I do it. So it's always going to be around. So that's the intro. That's the first verse, and that's the chorus to The Mistress. Let me see. I think I may have another comment before I get into yes, absolutely, my brother. Nothing but facts. So yeah, if you don't have my single, if this ain't a selling point for you to get my new single, The Mistress, featuring splashes and engineering by Gladiator, please make sure that you do so ASAP. Don't wait, especially as we get into the final verse next week. So if you don't have it, please make sure that you go to my Bandcamp page. That's my website. But since I'm saying it, BAMMLLC.net. Once again, BAMMLLC.net. That is my website. But if you want to go to my Bandcamp page, that is ajthrowback.bandcamp.com. Once again, ajthrowback.bandcamp.com. The beautiful thing about going on Bandcamp is that if you go there, if you love any of my music and you've been saying to yourself, you know what, I really like AJ's music, I want to get his entire discography, Bandcamp is the only place you can go to get it at a discounted rate. Everywhere else you gotta pay full price, but if you go to Bandcamp and get the whole thing, you can get it at a discounted rate. So definitely consider getting my entire discography on Bandcamp, or just start with the Mistress. That's perfectly fine as well. Any support is always welcome. And once again, I appreciate everybody who has bought the single thus far. If you like any of the merch that you see on me, this is my brand, Batch, BATCH, Balance and Act Trinkets and Clothing House. This is one of my shirts, Student of Life for Life, because I'm always studying, I'm always thinking, I'm always trying to consider how to get better at something, no matter what that something is, whether it's music, whether it's being a husband, whether it's being a father, whether it's being a friend, whether it's being a family member, no matter what. Like, I'm constantly studying how to be better at this thing called life. And so that's why I created this shirt. And hopefully that speaks enough to you for you to go to my website, BAMMLLC.net/shop batch. Once again, BAMMLLC.net/shop batch. Hopefully, I want to try to make sure that by next week, I actually can wear the newest shirt that is actually on my site to promote this single, where it says the original influencer, and with the picture of the girl on the shirt. Dope shirt. You know, kind of sort of got inspired by the whole thing of how a lot of people call themselves influencers, and how for me, music, creativity, that's my original influencer. That's the influencer I pay attention to. Of course, God, you know what I'm saying? Of course, the people in my life who really have gems and jewels or whatever. But it's just, you know, a creative way to say, hey, here's where my influence comes from. This is the influence I pay attention to, because this influence helps me to be influential to somebody else. So that shirt is now on the website as well, so definitely check out that and all of the merch that I have on my website. If you are not already following me on social media, please do so. I am at AJ Throwback on Facebook and Twitter. On Instagram and TikTok, I am A.J.Throwback. And right here on YouTube, I am at AJ Throwback 928. So if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please make sure that you do so right now. Subscribe, hit that bell notification. Make sure that you get all the notifications, so whenever I go live, post a new video, premiere a new video, you'll be among the first to know. Make sure that you like, comment, share, and I got plenty of content. If you like the content you've seen tonight and you want to go back in my catalog, I got plenty of content for days. For days. So definitely make sure that you check all of that out as well. Next week, we will be getting into the second verse of The Mistress, and that will wrap up all of the songs for the Late Bloomer series. Maybe one of these days I'll get into one of those bonus tracks that were on Bandcamp. Maybe if somebody throws something out there and say, hey, AJ, we want you to break down this song. Okay, cool. No problem. If you haven't heard me break down a song before and you want me to break it down, I will gladly do that. But in the meantime, once I wrap up this series, it'll be on to bringing on some other artists onto the show. So y'all definitely make sure that y'all stay tapped in for that. But next week, once again, it'll be verse 2. There's only 2 verses to this song. It'll be verse 2. And I may give a little bit to the scratching. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, that's Gladiator, but I think it was cool that he chose the sample that he chose. But at any rate, we will definitely cover verse number 2 from The Mistress. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight for this episode of The Maximum Sentence, where there's conviction behind the bars. I've been your man, AJ Throwback. And thank you so much for watching, whether you watch this live or whether you watch this on a replay. I appreciate all the support and the love that everybody has been showing. And until next time, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week. Enjoy your upcoming weekend, and I will see y'all next Sunday, prayerfully next Sunday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of The Maximum Sentence, where there's conviction behind the bars. Y'all take care. Peace.